If it's conservative.
If you're looking for something liberal
and realistic, this is the place to be.
Hello everyone, welcome to our podcast with no name. Today we're going to be discussing issues to do with dressing. How do we dress? How do the youth dress? How do the adults dress? How are we supposed to be presentable and be beautiful at the same time? On my right, or is it the left? We have Ronnie. On my left, I have Ronnie. Then I have Paul. Then we have Natasha or Tash. They're going to tell us more about dressing. Ronnie, what is your take?
Well, I mean, as long as you are not offensive, because dressing can be offensive sometimes. As long as you are not offensive to whoever is looking at you, dressing is also situational. You can't wear a swimming costume downtown in Copacabana, and you just need to know when and when not to wear certain things. In winter, you wear something warm. In summer, you wear clothes that allow you to breathe.
Okay. Yeah. I got the point that offensive, we want to define offensive. Offensive to who?
To the public.
To the public. So she's saying offensive to the public. In other words, as long as it is not offensive to that general public, then it doesn't matter.
As well. To God.
Okay, she's mentioning to God because I wanted to give an example. Let's say you are in Semi-Levy village or in Avondale and you're wearing your bum short and your crop top. Is it offensive in that neighborhood?
No, it's not. It's very normal.
It's very normal.
I don't think it's right to say it's not offensive because there are people from all walks of life who are in those areas.
But that area is mostly the whites, the rich kids. If you go to Mbare with those bum shorts and what, they will harass you, the Gwindis, the combi drivers.
Why are we stereotyping and saying rich kids are associated with the bum shorts? Why are we saying white people are associated? Are those qualified facts?
Okay, Paul.
Okay, my opinion is that I think we need to know the purpose of things. Why do we dress? So the purpose of dressing is to cover nakedness. So certain parts must be covered. So if those certain parts which you can then identify are not covered, then someone is not dressed properly.
Okay, I don't want to ask directly, but I feel like asking. He mentioned certain parts.
Let's go back to Genesis.
Okay.
Where Adam and Eve saw that they were naked.
Yes.
They were covered with the glory of God. Yes. Then they realized that because of sin, they are now naked. Yeah. And then they saw their leaves. And then God had to intervene and give them a covering of leather. Something that was durable and also something that would cover. And I like to believe that, honestly speaking, we all know where they covered for them not to be naked. These were husband and wife. But then they were supposed to be covered. So now I'm imagining, remember the example that I gave you, bum short and the crop top. And I like that you have mentioned that let's not stereotype.
Yeah, let's not assume.
So what do we consider a person to be dressed well? If for a guy and for a lady, you are walking in town, is this supposed to change when you are in Barre? And is this supposed to change when you are in town? Is this supposed to change when you are in Highlands Park? Is it supposed to change or is it supposed to be the same thing?
In my opinion, dressing is situational. Like I said, you can't wear a swimming costume for an evening event. Okay? But in all forms of dressing, that dressing is not offensive in that setting. A swimming costume is the dress you wear when you're swimming because it helps you to glide in water. But if you try to wear the same outfit at a certain place, there are certain places where if you wear bum shorts, then it's okay at the beach, because it's a place where naturally people want to experience water, they want to absorb the sunlight, right? But wearing the same outfit in a different setting, it won't work.
Okay, so we are saying as long as
situational.
As long as you are wearing your slacks or you are wearing your trousers, you can't really absorb the heat at a beach. Paul.
Okay, remember I was talking about purposes, and I always love also to go to the original. How did something begin? For example, dressing, the originator of dressing is God himself. Genesis chapter 3, verse 20. And I love it. You mentioned two things. When God dressed men, he was looking at durability, he was looking at covering. And although the Bible doesn't tell us how long the thing was, I would love to believe it was long enough to cover the most important things. So now, this is the problem now, is that when you don't cover what should be covered, then to God, and I always use because I come from the evangelistic point, so I always be referring to God and things like that. So Isaiah chapter 6 verse 1. This same God has a manual that he gives to us. He's the originator of dressing, so obviously the dressing will come with a manual. So if you want to know how to dress, then you need to have the Bible as your manual from God. And then God himself, God doesn't misrepresent himself. God doesn't say do this and then he does the opposite. Isaiah chapter 6 verse 1. The Bible says God is sin. A representation of God is sin. God is sitting on his throne, and the Bible says what he's putting on covers even to everything. Like then the Bible scholars will call it a flawless dressing, meaning to say what he was wearing was actually touching the ground from wherever we were sitting, so he was covering everything. Yeah. So from a biblical point of view, I think that's dressing for me.
From what I'm getting from him, is saying that the hands are covered, all the legs are covered and all. And I'm thinking that you are walking from Copacabana to, let's say, HCCC Church, and you are wearing that long dress which covers everything. Aren't you going to be also carrying the dirty with you as you are walking?
Okay, can I just say something? Okay, historically, the people were allowed to wear these flowing gowns where it was the monarch kings. So I need you to get the concept. The concept is not the longness, the covering and the sweeping. The concept is covering the important things. Yeah, that's where the concept is. That's where
He's mentioning covering the important things. Then I have another question again on this covering. It's long, it's covering, but it's tight. Is that okay? Yeah. And you have all the assets there.
So clearly dressing has more to do with ladies, because it's very rare to see men who are wearing tight fitting clothes and
they are there.
No, they are there, but mostly like today in the church, we are struggling with women who, like you're saying, you're wearing a very long dress, but it's got a very long vent, or it's so tight that we can almost see everything underneath.
Okay, I want to, you have mentioned men. Have you noticed the chino trousers that are being worn in these days, which display the shape and all of the legs, how firm they are? And not only that, in town, remember, our lives are not just at church. In town, I've seen people wearing shorts, the guys with all the firm legs, with the muscles showing the pecs and stuff. It may seem like we have a lady here. Let's hear from here. Does this affect in any way? If the person is it offensive to a female?
It is. I will give an example. I learned at Lower Gelo Adventist High School. So the Form 1s and the Form 2s, the boys would wear shorts. But when they are Form 3s upwards, they now wear the trousers, which is simple because they don't want them to reveal their legs. Do you feel comfortable walking in town with a short?
Yeah, I wear shorts sometimes.
The hairy, you guys have got those hairy legs, and some of you guys, you go to the gym. You have those big muscles. What are they called?
Those things.
Yeah, those ones. The ladies will not feel comfortable because they'll be now admiring those legs of yours and I don't know, the hairy.
I I like the fact that a female is actually telling the guys that these things affect them. You're hairy. It may seem like it's normal for you to have hairy legs and you display them.
But it is an attraction part.
You are calling the female to commit sin with you, to commit adultery, just by looking at you. So it's both ways. It's both men and females.
All right. So from what I'm getting, each and every individual has a responsibility to understand their body. And the moment you understand your body, and you should also understand and know what to wear and what not to wear. You know, a very curvy lady should naturally wear things that are loose, because you know, right? The same way you say.
We have noticed as ladies that when you are very curvy and you wear things that are loose, those things become even more curvier.
No, that's no. When you wear the tight stuff, that's where the problem is. So the same way you are saying men who are hairy should cover.
No, we're just saying
the body.
The shorts are for indoors. Okay. Wear them if maybe you're going for the swimming or the gym, you know. But when it's in public, in town or in church, you can't wear the shorts.
No, of course to church you can't.
Level of shorts. Maybe if they reach this size, you can wear them.
I've seen swimsuits which Arabs use. They cover everything. They cover everything. So I personally believe that let it not be an excuse that I'm swimming, so I'm wearing a two-piece. But you are having a public swimming pool. This same public is the same public that you meet in town. So how do we balance? Because it's the same individuals that are meeting.
But it's not exactly the same public, because there are certain areas where wearing certain things. It's like a Zambia, for example. A Zambia, Parufu, Neduku, that is very modest. You can't go there and you've got a Brazilian. You know, so like I said from the beginning, it's contextual. For example, we once had this discussion with Paul. Going to city center in your nice, shiny suit, it's okay. But go to a rural church and you're wearing that. There are certain suits where if you go wearing it, you look too extravagant. You actually look like you would have shine.
Become the idol.
Even if you are covered, right? So dressing goes beyond just revealing body parts, but it's also contextual to where you are, right? We also need to understand that you can't wear your Gucci in places where people are struggling. Okay? We also covered that.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with wearing a Gucci in the rural areas?
Okay, I want to concur on the part that he says. Dressing has got to do with where you are, the events and things like that. But I want to go back to what she said. I want to read something from a book called Clearing the Air, written by one of the Adventists. His name is Paul Spanda. Yeah, and then he writes and he says, on page 71, it is a fact that men and women are created differently. Men's sex emotions are easily stimulated when women expose their bodies. But this is not so with women. A woman may see a naked man and walk past unaffected, but for men, a thigh may be enough to get his blood rushing. This is the reason why God placed within woman a delicate sense of modest reserve, so that she could only expose her body except to her own husband.
Okay, my question, was this book written by a male or female?
Written by a male.
Thank you.
Yeah, but then it's research. Now this is research. So you can.
The other thing that I have to ask is in which generation? Because at some point I remember my mom saying that in their generation they've never heard of a crush. How can you crush on someone? But in our generation, it's no more to crush. So in which generation were women not affected by men not dressed properly? Because in this generation that we are in, she's saying the ladies are affected when muscles are all out, when the hair is all out.
Yeah, but in the olden days, there was less of variations in terms of dress.
And in old days, there were no shorts mostly in town.
You've got issues with the shorts. You've got issues with the shorts. It's okay.
Not that shorts.
I've been to match athletics. Have you seen how those pins that men wear when they are doing, and then they stretch their legs before the race. you are forced to notice things that you are not supposed to.
So look away, just look away.
But you guys, you can't look away when the girls are walking.
But truly speaking, guys, do you think we are created the same?
No.
In terms of sexual emotions. We are not.
They're different.
You know, with guys, look at what happened. What stimulates guys?
Sight.
But women is not. So this is the fact that you guys want to refuse. But you can ask whoever or the experts, they will tell you that. So that's why I'm quoting this. This is not just a quote from someone. This is a fact.
It's quantified.
It's quantified. Women, what makes a woman move is the touch. The touch.
In the words.
But a guy is the sight. A guy can go crazy just by seeing a thigh. And he can go crazy.
Remember when we started this, I said let's ask a female's perspective, and we got the female's perspective. The levels of being affected may be different. A female is affected.
Maybe you don't trust this one.
Are you affected by shorts?
I am affected. I like nice legs. So when I see legs, I see legs.
So can we agree that dressing is based on an individual? You have to start by knowing yourself, who you are, and you dress accordingly because you know it, man. You know
Before
that.
you say we dress accordingly, I have a question to you guys. Yes, you know your body. Yes, you ascribe to these things. But where does modesty come into play? Because you don't live in isolation. You live around people, and you are your brother's keeper. You are your sister's keeper. So where does modesty come into play?
The moment you start questioning or asking the next person, do you think this is too tight? Do you think that my hairstyle is too extravagant? Will it work? The moment you doubt, that is where modesty is concerned.
Okay. Natasha?
I think what she's saying that you should be comfortable with what you are wearing. You don't have to ask the next person. So if you're not comfortable, then
there is a problem there.
Okay, I've met people who are very comfortable in what they are wearing. They don't ask the other person, but what they are wearing will be offensive to us.
But to them, it's not.
So
sometimes you don't. If you follow people, some people do things because of lack of knowledge, and they'll be so blunt and so confident in their stupidity. You see, we've got people like that. But my point was going to, I think, if you go back to the Old Testament, you realize that when God instituted the sanctuary service and the priests, God did not want to see any flesh. When I'm talking about flesh, I'm not talking about the face. I mean, coming this side. The priests were supposed to be dressed fully and complete.
Okay. He's now in the Bible, and there's a notion in the Bible that dressing is for beauty and for glory. So maybe the question is, do we give glory in our dressing?
Yes.
And he has also mentioned things to do with the priest. They had to cover when they move. Like when you lift your leg, God was not supposed to see under you as a man. Remember, men were the ones who were involved in the sanctuary service. So I like to think that this means that dressing has to do with both men and women.
Both, yes.
Okay. Closing remarks, Ronnie.
I think I'll say the same thing. You must know yourself. Right, you must know yourself and know how you affect people. Obviously, comment. The reason why, if you pass through a gathering of men and you are dressed in a certain way, there is a reaction you pull from people based on how you're dressed. If you're okay, people are not going to comment. If you are inappropriately dressed, men are going to whistle, men are going to follow. One is going to escort you to the next corner, right? And you know that there is something wrong. If you ignore all those, then you have a problem.
Okay, my closing remarks have to do with a lady called Mary Quant. Mary Quant is the founder or the mother of miniskirts. 1964. Now, let me read for you why the miniskirt exists. according to Mary Quant, for making sex more available in the afternoon.
Wow.
She wanted the modern woman to be a sexual creature who displays her body instead of hiding it. That's from Mary Quant, from the same book that I quoted, but this one is from page 72. So since we don't have time, I would have loved to talk about the miniskirt and also to go and check from 1964 coming down, how many rape cases were involved in the United States of America because of Mary Quant, the mother of miniskirts.
When it comes to dressing, I would say you should just dress modestly. Wear something you are comfortable with. You don't have to draw attention when you're walking in public. So that's what I can say.
Okay. In conclusion, I like to say that Tamar was dressed in a certain way that Judah thought she was a harlot. So there is a certain way that may make people think that you are something that you are not. And go and research the way that you are dressing. Is it modest? Are you dressing for beauty and for glory? Or it's just beauty only? And also, research also on where certain clothings, like he has mentioned, like miniskirts, started from. Thank you.